welcome to Check Out This Guy. This is the podcast where we're gonna talk about OCs, some guys we've made up, and why we like them. I'm Emory, my pronouns are they, she, he.
I'm Morg, my pronouns are they, he.
I'm Spike, and my pronouns are whatever.
Oh boy, I've got a treat for y'all today. I've got a whole crowd of guys that I want to talk about. A whole swarm of them. An amorphous cloud of these little freaks.
Tell us about them.
Many guys.
Many guys. Man, what's the collective noun for OCs?
You just said it.
It's OCs because it's original characters with an S.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you want to call it like a group of something, like a murder.
Yeah, I mean collective noun as in like the funny word you use for a group of things, like a murder of crows.
Yeah, that's what I said a murder of OCs.
Yeah.
I would have a better answer if I knew this was going to be a question in advance.
I like the word swarm.
True.
Mm-hmm.
Swarm is pretty funny. I'm talking about like 6 characters, which seems too few to be a proper swarm.
That's a family. That's a family of OCs. Yeah. Like even if they're not even if they're not a family in your idea of them, that you could still call that like a small pride or something of OCs.
We already know that the numbers will expand and it will reach swarm status at some point.
Especially this one because we might be adding guys to it.
Yeah, I mean, you did ask us to come up with guys.
True, yeah.
Not for the podcast, just in general.
Yeah, so I guess I'll say these characters are from a setting which I created. I'm calling it Grey Pollen. At some point I plan on running a tabletop game in the Grey Pollen setting, probably using the God Eater system. Because it is all post-apocalyptic with, like, fantasy elements mixed in. So I guess I'll talk about the setting a little bit first, and then that'll lead me into talking about the characters.
Listeners, you might have God Eater if you bought the Racial Justice bundle or, like, one of those other bundles. That's how I found out I had it. I was like, oh... I never check these fucking bundles fully.
Yeah, sometimes when I have an idea for a tabletop campaign, I just go on itch and is like, I have like 1 million of these little bundles. Maybe one of these games will be good for running it.
Yeah.
So the Grey Pollen setting, the reason it's called that is because of the titular Grey Pollen, which is basically like little particles in the air shed off by the Grey Titans, who we'll get to later, and they just make it so you can't breathe. They fuck up your entire lungs, so...
Just like yellow pollen.
Yeah, exactly. It will... Just like plant pollen, it will kill you immediately. So yeah, kind of like one of the definitive like visual kind of stylistic things about this is when you go outside, everyone gotta wear a mask that filters air. Kind of like a fun visual distinction, kind of a fun thing for character design. Anytime I make up one of these little guys, I also, like, get to design a little mask for them, and, kind of like... a lot of the masks, like, follow some visual conventions that I kind of implemented. Like, a lot of them will have, like, tinted visors with, like... kind of facial features drawn on top of them. So sometimes spatial features, sometimes just like kind of abstract design stuff. It might just be like lines or shapes or whatever. But yeah, so yeah, keep that in mind. And then, yeah, so the beyond that, the setting, like I said, is post-apocalyptic, like taking a lot of influence from like Mad Max, where it's like very desert wasteland, type landscape, like, a lot of like, basically everything is built out of like recycled and repurposed junk, like, so yeah, very, very Mad Max, extremely Mad Max, pretty much basically Mad Max.
Is there a Walnado?
There could be, if I wanted to.
I haven't watched Mad Max, actually. Like, I know the basics of it. I've been meaning to watch it for years. But, like...
Spike and I watched Fury Road just this week.
Yep.
And it's a movie we've both seen before a bunch of times, and guess what? It still slaps.
Well, that's good. I'll watch it and see if it slaps and be like, wow, this is great Pollen universe, actually.
Yeah, exactly.
When you were first talking about the gray pollen, before you, like, explained that they could block it out with masks and stuff, for some reason the first thing that came to mind was the white chlorination syndrome from Nier, which I don't know if this means anything to anyone, because it's
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's not Nier Automata, it's Nier Replicant, or whatever the fuck they call it. The first one. It doesn't mean it's
Nier original flavor.
Yeah, I only played Automata from that series, and I still feel like I barely know anything about Automata.
Oh yeah,
there's a lot of lore that I did not investigate further.
It's fucking crazy because it's also connected to Drakengard, and this doesn't matter for your setting at all. But there are, I feel like there is like a lot of like sandy places in Nier Automata. Like I feel like some of it's very like post-apocalyptic vibes, so maybe that could like inspire some of the setting too.
Yeah. Although I do need to warn you, Morg, don't even bother watching the original Mad Max.
Okay. Okay, I won't. I'll just watch Fury Road. Less for me to do.
Road Warrior is pretty good.
Yeah, the original is not like any of the rest of the series.
Yeah, maybe good isn't the right word for Road Warrior. It is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It is like where the aesthetics and the design, the kind of like, yeah, the iconic like design elements of that world really come into their own and like go nutty with it.
Yeah, I can only recommend Beyond Thunderdome for the aesthetic.
Is that the original?
No, that's the third one.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So Fury Road is number 4.
Gotcha. I thought Fury Road was 3. That's why I was confused for a second. Okay.
Oh, like seriously, I think most people don't even realize that there is an original titled just Mad Max.
Yeah, I thought it was like Mad Max, and then there was a movie I didn't know about, and then it was Fury Road. That's what my mind was like. Yep, that's how it goes. So, are they going to have big machines like Mad Max?
Is there going to be a war rig?
There's not going to be a war rig, unfortunately. Man, where was I even? Okay, I was.
I'm sorry.
No worries. Listen. A lot of this stuff takes like pretty direct influence from existing pieces of culture. It's fine to go on little tangents about that stuff.
Yeah, and this is an ADHD crew, so there will be many tangents in every episode.
Yeah, we're just out here. Yeah, this is not like a deep analysis podcast. This is not a fucking brain smart podcast. This is a podcast where we come in and you know, not entirely a head empty podcast, but you know, there's just like a bunch of little odds and ends and trinkets in our heads, and we're just gonna dump those out and look at them.
Yeah, we're gonna check out some guys.
We might accidentally say something profound because we're talking about our characters and their experiences and their reflections of us, but that's like almost entirely accidental.
Okay, so yeah, it's like very Mad Mask-esque setting. It's got, you know, characters all wearing masks. Speaking of like cultural references, I actually came up with these characters before I really got into any of Q Hayashida's work. You know, Dorohedoro and Daidark. But yeah, everyone wears masks in those, and I feel like, you know, very validating of my choice to just be like, yeah, what if everyone wore a cool mask? Because, you know, both of those series have some very fun, like, mask designs that everyone's just wearing, and yeah, it gives the characters a lot of personality, I feel. You know, also, kind of doing a thing similar to what I was going for, where just, like, maybe the mask will be, like, all fucked up and scary, but then the guy underneath is just kind of a doofus.
Yeah, some of them are very cute.
Yeah. They're all like anthropomorphic animals.
Yeah.
They're all funny little furries, and they, like, have the funny little animal faces of furries.
Yeah. The initial, like, kind of like the initial sketches I did for designing these characters were, like, very Sonic influenced, but now that I'm sort of starting to redraw them a bit, they're getting closer to, like, my own, you know, sort of default style, so... but yeah, Sonic influence, we'll get to that, don't worry. So yeah, so that's just kind of like the basic stuff about the setting. Now we get into the nutty stuff about the setting. Kind of like before the apocalypse hit, there's kind of like this upper class, like, you know, aristocracy with, you know, access to, like, scientific technology that is basically, you know, equivalent to magic, or indistinguishable from magic, whatever you want to call it. And so, like, when things started getting fucked up, when the Grey Titans started rising up, they were just like, okay, we're just, you know, we're just gonna bounce. We're gonna leave things here. We don't like this dimension anymore, so we're gonna create an artificial one and just go inhabit that for the next few centuries. We're just gonna fuck off fully. We're gonna hit the bricks. So that's kind of a thing that, like, barely gets addressed in, like, the story I'm planning. Yeah, I guess also I should mention, like, kind of my plan right now is to, like, script this as a visual novel, and, like, I've already, like, started on some art assets for that. It might just never get finished, because doing a visual novel takes a lot of work, and I don't have a lot of, like, spare time and energy to actually go about creating that. But, you know, it's a lot of these are just going to be like, yeah, I thought of a idea for a story and characters. I do not have, like, the kind of life that would allow me to actually create it.
Yeah.
I feel like this is a thing that I could, like, maybe put, like, actual real progressive effort into if I were, like, between jobs or something. But as it stands, I, like, do not have the fucking hours to put, like, a real focused effort in, you know?
Yep.
But, you know, that's why I'm talking about it on a podcast, so I can be like, here's my ideas. They're neat, I think. Where was I? Yeah, so, world ends, guys, fuck off. And yeah, that like barely ever gets addressed. It's just kind of like audience is vaguely aware of like alternate dimension being a thing just because a character mentions it offhand early on, and everyone else is like, cool, I don't know what that means. But essentially you've got these, you know, sort of highly advanced aristocrats, essentially just like with near godlike power, trying to create a being with actual godlike power. They are essentially like breeding these like little like insectile people who they're just like experimenting on and playing around with and trying to like modify the psyches and genetics and souls of until they create a being with like the kind of omnipotent power that would allow them to like reverse all the damage done to the earth.
Oh man.
Yeah. Hey, Emory, I'm just sitting here thinking about how much our tastes are similar.
Yeah.
Preview for a future episode.
Great, sick. We kind of got some anime bullshit going on.
Yeah, but like Xena's not a bug. But I like that you're like, yeah, there's just some like eugenics in the background, but that's not. Those are like the shitty upper class people. We don't focus on them. We're focusing on the people that were kind of left behind. Like,
yeah.
We don't like those guys. We're not going to see them. We're not worrying about it. So yeah, then I guess I'll finally talk about the Grey Titans themselves. So these guys are the reasons why the world became a fucked up wasteland, and everyone is having to, you know, live in like small communities, like built out of like recycled junk. Because Grey Titans are like just all of like the human manufactured stuff. What if one day it all just decided to become giants? Like just all of this like material stuff like forming together and collecting into these like giant kaiju sized beasts that are just kind of wandering around.
oh god.
Just kind of going about their day. They just kind of like just tore up all of society like by its foundations and just kind of like collected into these giant monstrosities, and they don't really like have any goals or want anything. They're like I said, they're just kind of like going around. They're just sort of, again, sort of like background elements to this setting that, you know, kind of influence it but aren't really the focus. And yeah, so and like I said, the Grey Titans are like the source of the Grey Pollen, so in order to like reclaim some of the stuff that like got absorbed into the Grey Titans, like, you know, some of that stuff just falls off in big piles, and then that's called a Titan drop, and then you just kind of have like a pile of stuff that you like sort through and salvage and like, you know, kind of recollect and repair and then like use in order to create a functional society. So yeah, the people who do that are called salvagers. They're the ones who are like out there wearing the masks, like, just kind of going out there and finding things for people to use. And like most of our main characters here are those salvagers. Yeah, I guess now we can actually like I've done enough table setting that we can actually start talking about the characters. Like fucking 20 minutes into the podcast about characters.
Bring out the first guy.
First guy.
I mean,
so
to be
our
fair,
first guy.
the setting like is really important to
Yes
to the characters. So.
Agreed.
Sorry, go ahead. First guy.
Yes. So our first guy is Vermin. They are a funny little opossum. I guess to describe them visually, like, you know, most of the time they're wearing, like, some very, like, torn up, ratty clothes, you know, because, I mean, everyone's wearing ratty, torn up clothes, you know how it is. And let's see, their mask is kind of like a motorcycle helmet-ish with, like, kind of a funny Joker grin drawn on it, and, you know, eyes drawn on the visor with, like, big X's through them. So they're actually on the fucking cover art. You can go spot them now. So I mentioned Sonic references earlier. Kind of how I went about, like, assembling this cast is I kind of wanted to make characters based on, like, Sonic the Hedgehog archetypes. So I kind of, like, you know, just selected a bunch of Sonic characters and then sort of, like, you know, and then we're like, okay, I'm gonna use this as a base. I'm gonna, like, just sort of take a Sonic character and then, like, rotate them in my head a bunch of times until, like, they sort of become their own guy. So Vermin obviously is, like, the Sonic stand-in. And they're different from Sonic just because they're, like, kind of a huge dumbass. They're very, like, head empty about it. They're kind of silly. You know, also having, like, some of those core characteristics that we all love about Sonic. You know, they're kind of sassy, they're quick to start a fight, but also they care about their friends a lot. And also, a fun thing to mention, all of the characters have a unique superpower. The superpowers are essentially, like, manifestations of their souls, kind of Eidolon-like, but without, like, a guy what comes out of you. So Vermin's soul allows them to recall the last object they touched back into their hand, and also swap the last two objects that they touched. So there's, like, a lot of you know, there's a lot of silly things they can do with that. I've thought a lot about, like, how that can be used to create an interesting fight scene. The main weapon that they carry around is just, like, a knife that they can throw, and, like, say, you know, they throw their knife and then, like, swap it with a car or something, then they've effectively just thrown a car at you. So they can do a lot of silly stuff like that.
God, that's crazy.
They're kind of overpowered. I mean, well, I don't know if overpowered is the right word. They're just, like, very confident in a fight. They're, like, it's kind of the thing where it's like, it's gonna, you know, if they find something that actually challenges them, then you know it's a big deal.
Well, you compared them to Eidolon powers, so, like, just to, like, in case listeners are stepping in being like, what the fuck? That's just like stands from JoJo or, like, Persona powers kind of things.
Yeah.
But, like, so they kind of can just do some, like, wild shit as long as, like, the character's creative enough. But it also sounds like this character is not necessarily needs to be creative enough because they can just kind of swap bullshit around, which is very Sonic to me also.
Yeah, like, they can get, like, very complicated with, like, how they're, like, swapping items around, and, like, yeah, they can, like, do a lot of, like, feigns and trickery, but also they can just brute force it and throw a car at you if they need to, like...
Yeah. See, Morg said something thought-provoking, and I'm just over here thinking, hey, I bet he's really good at Jenga.
You know? It's fucking true. They could fucking roast you at a game of Jenga. They could, you know those solo games where, like, you lose the game when the tower collapses. They would just, like, they would be the only one who can like exhaust all the options in that game. They would be like, yeah, I've rolled for everything on the table and I'm still not dead. Wonder what this means. I guess I won the game.
This motherfucker playing Dread.
Yeah.
Not the video game, the tabletop game. I remember, yeah, I feel like you've drawn them, like, didn't you redraw them recently?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. They're, like, the one I remember the most other than the bug.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Speaking of the bug, let's talk about Grub. Grub is like the funny little guy of the setting. I mean, they're all funny little guys, but Grub is littler and possibly even funnier. They're kind of like the Tails to Vermin Sonic, although their personality is a lot different. Like, they've got some of that like anxiety and lack of confidence, but again, they're more of a dumbass than Tails is.
Isn't everyone?
Yeah, true. I mean, I feel like Grub is like this, slightly more sensible than a lot of these characters, but still sort of a dumbass. And I like writing dumbasses, it turns out. It's kind of funny when everyone is just going around being silly.
Yep.
Grub's deal is that they are like one of those failed experiments that the people in the other dimension are doing. Like, they were essentially like in the program where they were essentially bred and sort of tailor-made and prepared to essentially like be a candidate for essentially like attaining godhood. But, it didn't work out. Like, usually they like undergo a process called like soul transmutation, which like turns them into a big fucked up body horror with like ridiculous reality warping powers, but it just kind of didn't take for them. They stayed like a little just sort of like a little bug guy instead of becoming a big body horror.
Don't let that happen to Grub.
No. That's kind of a messed up thing to happen. It won't happen to Grub, don't worry. They're little and nice. I wouldn't do that to them.
The Cthulhuification of Grub.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Grub just basically gets exiled from this alternate dimension, and just Vermin just like finds them wandering around in the desert because they don't really have anything else to do or anywhere to go. And so they're just out there dying, and Vermin is like, "Oh no, you little guy. I'd better take you home and like give you a glass of water or something." So that's how those two become friends. Hey, speaking of Vermin's friends, I want to finally talk about possibly the best named character in this entire roster. It's King Shit.
Hey, King Shit is the best name, but you have another one that's close.
Okay. Ooh, I wonder what that is.
You're gonna tell us, I'm sure.
King Shit is kind of like the Knuckles of the group, but less of a dumbass than Knuckles.
Wow.
Incredibly. I finally sent one in the other direction. They are kind of like the one that keeps Vermin grounded and just like, hey, don't make bad decisions, you dumbass. Also, like, they're sort of very low key, or I've just been using they them for all these characters. I should actually pay attention to what their real pronouns are. Vermin is they them, Grub is he him, and King is she her.
Oh.
So King is like a big fuck off lizard. I was kind of using like the red-eyed crocodile skink as like just kind of a lizardy design to base the character on, but she's like very big and buff and essentially like the big like heavy of the group.
She's got like big arms.
Big arms, indeed. Her power is that she can make objects she touches change in size. So, essentially she can, like, take something small and, like, you turn it into a, like, huge bludgeon or something. So yeah, which kind of, like, suits her fighting style of just being, like, very straightforward and smashy.
Can she shrink things, too?
Yes, she can.
Cool. That seems handy for, like, picking up stuff and scavenging. That's why I was wondering.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly, yeah. I was just gonna say, she's also a salvager like Vermin, and, like, the two, like, work very well together, because, like, Vermin can just, like, pick stuff up really easily using their power, like, they can get it out of, like, hard to reach spaces and stuff, and, like, King can, grow or shrink stuff to, like, make it easier to access, make it easier to carry around, stuff like that. So they're like a very effective pair at, like, the job they do.
Big Lizard.
Big Lizard. I love Big Lizard.
So does she goes by King more than she goes by shit? If you're, like, using one name.
Yeah. I mean, obviously. You probably wouldn't want to go by shit.
It'd be pretty funny. I mean, hey, that's her name. Her full name is King Shit, so she probably
that's her full legal name.
She probably does get called it.
Yeah, that's Ms. Shit.
That's right. That's Miss Shit to you.
Yeah. If you can't tell, I like naming characters.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's fun because the first two are kind of named after, like, animal stuff that they are. Like, Vermin, that's, people think of, like, possums as vermin, and Grub, it's kind of just, like, I love the name Grub, but if you're thinking about it too hard, it is like naming someone Baby, which does exist. Like, people do get called Baby, like, Baby Monkey Ball Baby, that's Baby, but then it's like, oh, King Shit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, oh, this is just all over the place.
I love names.
Me too.
Like I said. Yeah, and then there's, like, another friend named Diamond, who is a bird. Morg actually came up with this name, I think, when I was drawing these characters for the first time on stream.
I think so. You were just like, I don't know what to name this bird. Fuck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Diamond is they, she, he. So, like, his power is essentially, like, increasing or decreasing, like, the durability of an item. So she can essentially, like, just touch an object and make it, like hard as steel, like, nearly impossible to break, or just, like, touch something and make it crumble, which is pretty cool.
I could really use that for my fucking Zelda game, huh?
Yes!
Yeah, for real.
God. She could even be a fucking Rito, and I mean, she doesn't look exactly like they don't look exactly like those, but, like, can be easily modified.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be nice to swing a sword more than 5 times. She uses, like, an umbrella as a weapon because, he can make it just, like, strong enough that essentially just, like, he can use it as a shield that is, even though it's an umbrella, it can just essentially deflect anything or just, like, hit you really hard with it,
Hell yeah. Strong as diamond.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Diamond is, like, kind of a resource manager for, like, the community they live in. They're like, okay, we're post-apocalypse. Like, we live in a farming community largely, but also, like, resources aren't unlimited. We gotta, like, make sure that stuff gets allocated in order for, this place to continue functioning, in order to make sure that, like, everyone's getting their needs met. So that's kind of their job.
And so now we get into the two characters who are villains. And, you know...
Oh, no.
It's, again, going back to this fucking Sonic inspiration, it's kind of an SA2 situation where, like, you know, these two characters are villains, but actually secretly they're the main characters, and they have all, you know, they have the character arcs that you care about.
Oof. Owned.
This is why Trigger made an SA2 anime starring Shadow.
Yeah. The hero or the light side got owned.
Turns out villains are good characters. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Who could have predicted this? Who could have thought?
They're all good
not
characters,
me.
so jot that down. I mean, of your characters.
Thank you. So, the two villain characters are Hellclaw and Heart-Eyes. Hellclaw is like essentially the leader of a group of bandits, you know, like, and Heart-Eyes is his lieutenant. Hellclaw is he/she, and Heart-Eyes is she/her. So, you know, essentially the first time we see them both, like, kind of like a shipment of food is, like, you know, being driven, like outside, you know, is being shipped out of, like, the community that all of our main characters are in. You know, because obviously, like, it's kind of one of the themes I'm like going for is, like, you know, it's a lot of like post-apocalyptic stuff is very much like, wow, everyone is fucking at each other's throats, you know, fighting over limited resources. Like, you know, the only way to survive is to be like the most independent. But I'm like, no, like, you need to have community with other people. You need to, like, fucking help each other, like, meet each other's needs, because, like, total independence is kind of impossible. So, like, even though we have this one community, which is, like, pretty well situated, like, they've, you know, they're able to, like, produce enough food to feed everyone, like, you know, they still have stuff like machinery and medicine that, you know, they can't produce for themselves. So, like, yeah, it's kind of like one of the main themes is like interdependence and communism.
It reminds me of someone wrote a book about the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina and how communities actually like worked together afterwards, and how there's like a thread of like you know, in even in like really bad circumstances, that a lot of times like communities can like bring themselves together and stuff. And it's like it's nice because it's like there's truth to it, and people aren't all bad, and let's reflect that in our media a little bit. Is nice, but you know. And
then like Hellclaw is kind of the antithesis to this idea. They're, you know, like I said, he's a bandit leader. First time we see him, he just like attacks this convoy and just like, cool, we got all this food now, we take what we can carry, we burn the rest, we kill the drivers.
Yeah, none of that nice.
Yeah, so suddenly it's like, oh no, high stakes in this previously chill and slice of lifey post-apocalypse story. Oh no, I feel very threatened.
Chill in quotes because it's still post-apocalypse.
Yeah, you still die if you go outside.
Exactly.
It is spring, and I have really bad allergies, so this just does sound normal to me.
Yeah, this is, you know, inspired by real life.
Okay, it sounds more, I mean, it honestly sounds more like COVID, if anything.
Yeah. Honestly, like, Yeah, COVID definitely had, like, influence, just on the idea that going outside will kill you. Also, I think, like, kind of one of the core reasons why, like, masked characters appeal to me is, like, in part because, like, so many of my friendships are online, and, you know, I feel like I know, you know, so many of my friends really well, despite, like, not really seeing their faces, or, like, you know, or only seeing them in selfies, so I don't really know, like, how they emote and all that. So yeah, I don't know. I that's just kind of a thing in my life that I feel like kind of got, like, reflected and expressed in just kind of, like, the desire to, like, make these characters wear masks most of the time. Just like, yeah, I want these characters to be, like, you know, expressive and you know, have, like, clear personalities even when you can't see their faces, you know?
Well, damn.
See, what did I say? You can say some, like, you accidentally stumble across some, like, profound shit. Spike, which one was the one that you were like, this is the second best name? Is it Heart-Eyes?
Yeah, Heart-Eyes, motherfucker.
Heart-Eyes is a great name for a character.
Yeah, so I guess I should describe their masks a little. Also, like, Hellclaw is a kitty cat. And Heart-Eyes is a porcupine. I originally drew her as a rabbit. Then I was like, I don't know, kind of not feeling the rabbit for this one, actually. So I switched to porcupine.
I don't know if I've seen her new design. I mostly thought of her as Banui. You can post it later or whatever.
Yeah, I can find it. A lot of these sketches are, like, posted in the Check Out This Guy Discord server, so you can probably find them if you search for them. I might, like, also include all of them in, like, the episode art. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll like make sure there are visual references for y'all to find, because those would definitely be helpful.
Indeed.
So yeah, Hellclaw's mask kind of, like, breaks the convention of, like, you know, having the large visor with, like, the drawn-on design. You know, her mask is, like a little more Fallout inspired. It's got, like, kind of, like, eyes that are a little more, like, that have, like, a little more armor on them. Like, it's got these, like, kind of like these little smaller, like, holes that you see through instead of, like, the large visor portion, and kind of has, like, sort of ears that stand straight up, kind of like Anubis or Jackal, like. And she carries a spear also. Heart-Eyes, again, a porcupine, wears I want to change the design of that mask, but kind of the idea behind it that I don't feel like I executed necessarily the best on is I kind of want it to be like a little more like a World War I era gas mask with of course hearts drawn over the eyes. Yeah, so, like, I mentioned the first scene we see these characters in, like, next time we see them, like, Heart-Eyes approaches Hellclaw and is like, hey, I think it's bad that you've gotten so casual about killing people. Like, yeah, I see you doing it for necessity, but you kind of just killed those guys for no reason. I think, are you becoming a bad person? I don't like this for you. And Hellclaw is like, whatever, I already killed, like, an entire town full of people. Who gives a shit? Like, I'm already the bastard of all time. Why are you fucking getting all uppity about it now?
I bet there was something there, like, I bet, you know, maybe.
I wonder if there's a backstory.
Like, oh, maybe they convinced themselves that they had to, and Heart-Eyes was like, that's okay, but killing these drivers isn't. Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
We love backstory. We love lore.
Yeah.
That's why we're here.
Love lore.
Did you describe the other masks besides Vermin's and those two?
I didn't talk about King or Diamonds, did I?
I think so. And
Grub actually doesn't wear a mask. Like, they've gone through like so much conditioning that they can just like breathe the gray pollen and have no problems with it.
Is everyone just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, like, hey, shouldn't you be dying right now? And Grub's like, no, I'm fine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good, actually.
This is normal.
Here's a question.
I love breathing poison.
Here's a question. Are there, like, bug people that aren't these kind of bug people?
Not really, I don't think. Maybe. I might I don't know. Not in, like, any of the characters I have planned, but I don't know. There might be.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I do like the idea of Grub being just like, oh, I've never seen anyone like that before.
These fuzzy assholes.
That person is definitely from out of town.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I guess they're not all furry, because there's a lizard and a bird. But
yeah, fucking lizards and birds are still furry.
Yeah.
Like,
absolutely.
let's not be pedantic.
I wasn't trying to be. I just meant, like, in comparison to Grub, they're still, like, different. They're not, they don't have exoskeletons. That's kind of all I meant.
Mm-hmm.
Trust me, I have a half bird guy as my Sona. I am totally fine with just calling them all furries.
I'm wondering if I should like get into Hellclaw's backstory because like we got like 10 minutes. I'm wondering if we want to like start wrapping up or like maybe save these two for like a part 2 because they do have like the most involved like backstories and character arcs. Like I said, I feel like we're a little bit deep into the podcast to get like fully into it, but I don't know if y'all want to run for a little bit longer, we could.
I'm fine either way.
Or we could save it for later.
Same.
Yeah. You know what? In that case, I think I'm gonna save it. I think we might cliffhanger it there, being like, ooh, what is their strange backstory? What's the deal with the town that Hellclaw evidently killed?
Find out in a future episode.
What is the character arcs that they will go through that will lead them to being the main characters who we care the most about? I wonder.
Yeah, and then maybe we can go into like your ideas for if you wanted to run it as a tabletop game the next time we go through them too. If like the backstory doesn't take up the whole time, I think that could be an interesting way of being like, there's gonna be more characters on the way, even if they're not all mine.
Yeah. I guess I will talk about that a little bit. Like I said, I want to run this using God Eater as like, changing a lot of like the sort of aesthetic and flavor elements of God Eater, but like still keeping that like post-apocalyptic with magic powers setting. Let's see. And also like I want the, despite having created the, because I've created this setting myself, I want to like set it in like a particular like town or community that is like, again, very communally created. Like, so my idea right now is to use the game Did You Say Street Magic to essentially like allow all of us to like create and populate this town with like, locations and NPCs and, kind of like give it like real, give the setting like real character that like everyone has a voice in. And like, honestly, I don't really have a lot of plans for like what the, overall plot would be. Like, again, I'm planning on taking characters from you guys and your characters and like kind of seeing like what turns up and then like going places based on that rather than like, coming up with the plot ahead of time. I have some ideas, like, I don't know. I have a villain in mind that I could use, but like maybe I just won't, depending on how things go, But yeah.
We could throw a wrench in your plans very easily.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, it was more a matter
They're barely plans at all, so yes, you could.
It was more of a matter of, like, how the magic works and stuff, but... Or, like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, instead of, like, using the normal progression of God Eater, it would very much be like, okay, you all get to tell me what your soul does, and then that's kind of just, like, your main superpower for the entire campaign, and then, like, other advancements that you would get would be, like, more practical skills, or, like, just, like, useful pieces of gear, or things like that.
Okay.
So yeah, I think that about does it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed me rambling about this funny little world I've come up with.
Yeah,
I did, and I was good. I wasn't just sitting here clapping the whole time.
God.
Do we want to decide on what we're doing next week, or should we save that for like something we're doing in the Discord? This is a new baby podcast. We're still figuring out like, I guess like I guess some of the functional elements of it.
Yeah.
So do we want to do that now or figure it out later?
I feel like it makes more sense to figure it out later, just because, like, it's probably going to be something like Spike or I, just kind of so we're, like, taking turns and stuff, but I'm not sure, like, who we should start with and whatever.
Yeah.
So we can just talk about that in the Discord, and then, like, maybe it'll be, like, in the episode description if we decide ahead of time or something. Just, it's kind of up to Emory's discretion, I guess, by that point.
Okay.
But I don't know. I think maybe like with some episodes, if we're like, we know we're going to do this next, maybe we'll mention it. But yeah, I guess stay tuned for one of the other hosts to talk about some shit. Yeah.
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 All right. Do we want to get into our plugs then?
Yeah.
I'll go first.
Please do.
Check out this guy Discord. Otherwise, that's the closest I have to social media. So come to the Discord and hang out with us. We even sometimes do things like Toku Mondays and Emory's drawing streams on Fridays.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, we are planning on like having guests on this podcast, so I think like once we get a few episodes under our belts, just to sort of find our footing with what we're doing here, and get hear from all four of the hosts at least on. Each give like at least one offering for stuff we've come up with. Then I think I'm gonna reopen the guest sign up channel. So if you're interested in coming on and telling us about your guys, then you'll be able to then. Also, planning on having guests on from our tabletop group. And yeah, hearing about their guys. So
look, the audience is going to eventually find out about the deep lore.
Yeah, we love deep lore. We love lore that you need to, you need to ascend from slowly so you don't get the bends. Morg, where can we find you?
Oh, sure, I'm going next. Okay. You can find me at Haunting the Morg on Tumblr mostly, but also I'm still there on Twitter. And then you can also find me at Gengar and Co-host and my other podcasts, Forward ReZero, a ReZero Watch podcast, and The Sonic Shuffle, a random and holistic Sonic lore podcast. Speaking of Sonic inspiration, I guess. I think that's it as far as me and the Discord. I think you can find all four of us in the Discord. Really.
I'm on a podcast called We Rate Queerbait, where we talk about the blurry line between homie and homo. The most recent episode we released was on Skate the Infinity. No, wait. Last episode we released was on Hunter's Unlucky, a very funny book about gay war criminals who are cats. And next episode that comes out will be our episode on House MD, which was a delight to record. It's a very... Yeah, look forward to that.
Sorry.
Actually... That'll probably be out by the time you're hearing this.
Incredible.
Yeah, I think it will.
God. That's funny because Housebound also just came out with a new episode. So if you like House, there's lots of content for you.
Hell yeah. I don't know what... I haven't heard of Housebound, but
don't worry about
House is a wild fucking show.
Yeah.
I'm also on Fur Affinity with the username Space Robot. You can go there and check out my gallery. I don't think I've actually uploaded any of the characters for this setting to my gallery because like they're mostly like sketches at this point. I've got like a couple of finished portraits that I would be using in the visual novel, but like. Yeah, not anything that I would feel like is really ready to go up in the gallery, but you can see a bunch of other stuff there, a bunch of other OCs I've drawn. And hey, if you want artwork of your own OC, I am open for commissions. You can talk to me about that on Discord if you know me there. Just shoot me a DM or email me at spacerobotart@gmail.com. That is SPACEROBT, no second O, ART @gmail.com. So yeah, I think that's it. We mentioned the Discord. Do we have other social media for this show?
We do. I guess they're already set up. Because I wasn't sure when the first episode was going out. But they are, I believe, let me double check, but I believe they're co-hosts at Check Out This Guy, all one word, and Tumblr at checkoutThisGuy.tumblr.com. And yeah, you should, if you see our logo, our like podcast art, you found the right places. And you can also find us on Noisepace.xyz, home of podcast, run by Matt GameCube,
the Canadian,
hence the Z.
Hell yeah, we love being on Noisepace. Good network.
Yes. Yep. I'm glad they kept us around, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All my other active podcasts are also on Noisepace, so I'm a Noisepace baby. And now we've come to the end of the episode.
And are confronted once again by our lack of proper outro.
Oh no.
I forget what the hell I said last week.
So do I.
Thanks for all the guys. Kind of like thanks for all the fish. That's not what you said last time.
So long and thanks for all the... Yeah.
So long and thanks for all the guys.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Remember, guys for our podcast is not attached to gender, and we want everyone on here.
I know this, however, it did make me start thinking about It's Raining Men.
That's so fair. It's raining guys. Hallelujah. It's raining guys.
Amen.
Guys just falling from the sky over here.
Yeah.
Holding out for a guy.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just do like music references. Like replacing like
Gimme a guy after midnight.
yeah.
Bye Miss American Guy. Fuck, what if that was the outro? That would suck.
No. What if Lizzo's song Guys instead of Boys? It fits a lot better when it's like a line from a song. Like, bye bye, Miss American Guy. The Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry.
What if the levee was also Guy?
What if the levee was also Guy? Also, not all our hosts are American, so that doesn't.
It's guys all the way down.
God, that's not bad. It's guys all the way down isn't bad.
Yeah. I mean, you got the world, and the world is held up by 4 guys on the back of another larger guy, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, what is the world's turtle if not just like a big flat guy?
It's just a guy.
Yes.
So true.
I feel like we're really drifting into abstraction here.
Yes.
Yeah, we can always just like send out these first few episodes and be like, "Hey, listeners, what tickles your fancy?"
I don't know. We'll land on something eventually.
Yeah, I mean,
we don't have to do it right now.
Wait, we could also say instead of goodbye, we could say good guy.
Good guy.
Good guy.
Good guy.
Good guy.
Stop recording.
Bye.
Bye.